Hello and welcome to AWS Certified Solution Architect course. In this video, we will discuss about some other features of S3. The first feature we would like to discuss is S3 versioning. Versioning means keeping multiple copies of a file, and whenever you make any changes to a file, a new version of that file will be created. So what is the benefit of using versioning? Using versioning, you can easily recover objects which may be unintended, deleted, and if you want to store, if you want to know what are the changes have been made to the previous version, so you can get the older version and you can see and you can differentiate the changes between versions of objects. So this is a very good feature given by S3. And one more thing here to notice is when you enable versioning, you create multiple copies after every changes of the object, and it will be stored in S3. So you have to pay for the extra whatever the versions that are stored in S3. So that will be paid as per the S3 prices. And another thing is about versioning. If you enable versioning, you cannot disable it. So, however, you can suspend it. So you can enable it once, but further you cannot disable or remove it. However, you can suspend it. So whatever the versions that have been created will still be present until you explicitly delete them. So here the same thing is mentioned. Versioning is a means of keeping multiple variants of an object in the same bucket. You can use versioning to preserve, retrieve, and restore every version of every object stored in your Amazon S3 bucket. You can easily recover your versions from unintended user actions and application failures. Even you can recover objects from accidental deletion. Once the version is enabled, it cannot be returned to unversioned state. Now the next feature is S3 lifecycle management. Suppose on your on-premises environment, when you store some data that need to be stored for a specific period of time, or you can say it may be relevant for a specific period of time. That means some data can be very frequently accessed. The recent data can be very frequently accessed. Apart from that, some data that may be referenced or accessed like very less frequently, maybe once in a while. And some of the data that are like you archive it so that in future maybe sometime you do audit and you retrieve those data to do auditing and all. And after some period of time like 5 years or 3 years, you want your older data, the data older than 3 years or 5 years, to be deleted. So the same thing has been configured in S3 as well. You can use lifecycle management policies to configure this, and once you create any object, you store it in S3. It will be stored in standard S3 buckets. And if when you create the lifecycle policies, you may transfer that data from standard storage class to standard infrequent access storage class after the number of days you define. So you can define like after 30 days, the data may go from standard storage class to standard infrequent access storage class. And after some period of time, you want that data to be archived. So you can just create some another rule that the data may go to Glacier. The Glacier is used for archival of data in S3. So you can choose like after 90 days or after 60 days, the data may go to Glacier. And from Glacier, you can choose like after 365 days, 2 years, the data can be deleted. So in this way, you can transition the data from one storage class to another storage class. And one more thing here, it's very important, is when you transfer the data from one storage class to another, like from standard to standard infrequent access and from standard infrequent access to Glacier, the storage price, the storage cost keep decreasing. So in this way you can manage your cost as well. So it's a very useful thing in S3, the lifecycle management, and it will help you save lots of money. Now the next feature is S3 encryption. So what are the ways in which we can use encryption to protect our data? So the first is while transfer of data. So the data which is in transit need to be protected through SSL or by using some other encryption mechanism. The other thing to notice is when the data is at rest. So when your data is at rest at some storage box, there as well it should be encrypted and protected. So there are two types of encryption uh, provided by S3. One is user side, server side encryption, and client side encryption. The server side encryption, you encrypt your data before saving it on disk in the data centers, and you decrypt it when you download it. So in server side encryption, you request Amazon S3 to encrypt your object before saving it on disk and in its data centers and decrypt it when you download the objects. So this is completely handled by Amazon S3, the server side encryption. They will encrypt your data, they will store it in their storage in the data center, and when you ask them for the data, they will decrypt it and provide it to you. In client side encryption, you have the authority to encrypt the data at your client side and upload the encrypted data to Amazon S3. So in this case, you manage the encryption process, the encryption keys and related tools. So that means you will encrypt the data, you will provide it to Amazon S3, you will upload it to their data center, and they don't have keys to do anything with your data. When you need the data, you can download it and decrypt it using your encryption keys and other tools.